I always enjoy looking at my notes for the episode, and anytime I have just a one-word note, this week I just have the note, Jacen. How does that make you feel?
Sounds like a threat.
It is.
Like Friday the 13th.
Even worse. He's even more of a monster. It's Wednesday night, and we are here in Rachel's apartment, which must mean it's Starformers night. Welcome to Rebels and Robots, episode 33 with Cameron and
Rachel.
This is our weekly chat about Star Wars and
Transformers. Every time. I always forget. I say the line and I'm done.
If someone only ever listened to this podcast and never ever talked to you in real life, they would think that you pronounce Transformers with an R before the T. They would think, because you always go to say robots, right? Is that what you? So it would sound like it sounds like Transformer. Transformers. If you're new to the pod, welcome. This is a weird place to jump in, but we're happy to have you. We have a weekly topic. This week we will be talking about Ahsoka episode 3. And before that, we always talk about news and recent thoughts. Rachel is a lot better at collecting news than me, but I did a quick search on Google just now for Transformers news, and there's a lot of minor news I thought was a lot of fun. Yeah. So we'll cover that. But Rachel, start us off. What news or recent thoughts do you have?
This is aggressively local for us. I just found out the university I work for is doing a politics of Star Wars class this semester.
Oh,
in their political science.
That's fun.
And because my coworker mentioned it to me, she was like, "You should audit it." I don't know how to do that. Well, wouldn't that be fun?
Well, you wouldn't have anything to do. There's not going to be any content. They're just going to sit silently because there's no politics in Star Wars.
Oh, of course,
Rachel.
Yeah. There's no politics in Star Wars.
Star Wars is totally political free. At least the original 6 are.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially the original. Especially the original trilogy. That was in no way.
Maybe Disney injected its politics into it and made it, but George Lucas had no political opinions whatsoever.
No, not at all.
There's no real world political parallels in Star Wars.
No, not at all.
We cannot start off this sarcastic. This is ridiculous. That would be fun. That would be legitimately fun. I would
take that class.
Now, see, the flip side of that is, for me in college, I oftentimes really enjoyed hearing the opinions of professors. I did not enjoy hearing the opinions of my fellow classmates. I
feel like the class is probably more designed to just be a look at the politics of the time and what inspired them. Yeah. That's what I'm pretty sure is probably going to be.
I would be, especially any professor who'd want to teach that, I'd be fascinated to hear what they have to say.
Prequel trilogy.
And then it turns out they're a sequel trilogy denier, and I have to fight them every week about Last Jedi.
Remember, I kind of repressed this. The instructor that embarrassed me. Well, he didn't really embarrass me. I was more embarrassed for him for picking a fight with a college student about this. That I said I enjoyed The Last Jedi, and he said it was anti-woman of me. Did I ever tell you this?
That's some BS.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it had just come out, I think that year, or the year before, or maybe year.
The movie came out in 2017. December 2017 is when
this was fall 2019.
Okay, so it's been almost 2 years.
And we started talking about it. I said, I love The Last Jedi. And this is at the end of class. But it was a class that wasn't structured. And he kind of went off on a tangent in front of everybody about how it was anti-woman of me and how the treatment of women and
I'm flabbergasted.
The actors and actresses codes. Now, I'm not saying it is a perfect film. And I do not love a lot of choices that were made by Disney executives putting pressure. I do not love that. I do not. But nonetheless, one of the stories that this instructor, he was like, "That's anti-woman of you," and for the entire class. And I was like, "Bro,
that's ridiculous.
Bro, what?"
Dude, that's the epitome of toxic Star Wars culture.
I was stunned. It wasn't even until afterward that I was actually, because it was a moment where I'm in the moment and I'm thinking, is this really happening?
Yeah.
I'm really
the absolute audacity.
Yeah, and I didn't argue because first of all, having that argument, and I wanted to leave.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's like, once someone says something that makes them so clearly unopen to conversation and debate, or like just anytime someone does something so unreasonable, the only correct choice is just not engage. Absolutely.
And like later, I texted a classmate who I was friends with, and I was like, "Was that weird?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and I have one of my
So that would be the worst kind of professor to take a Star Wars class under. Someone who just has no regard for anyone else's opinion.
And my coworker hates The Last Jedi. Literally hates it. I told him this story, and he was like jaw dropped. Because when we like movies, the other doesn't. We just poke fun at each other. He wouldn't. Yeah. So that would not have been a fun professor to have that class with. So
that would be a good class conditionally.
Yes.
I think the best way to approach teaching a Star Wars class these days would be, you'd have to say, especially something like that's talking about the history of it, you'd have to say, we are not going to get wrapped up in our personal opinions about Star Wars. We all agree we are here to talk about Star Wars and learn about it, but we are going to discuss it from like a third person perspective.
Yep.
No first person allowed. Just because it just devolves endlessly. Yeah. So I think that's the only way you could approach it, regardless. Because I think what makes our podcast work so well is that we're open to everything Star Wars.
I'm kidding.
No, not at all.
I'm kidding.
Like, we're open to almost anything Star Wars, willing to take it, even if we don't like it, we're willing to like engage with it and act like it exists, and are just like, we recognize that the people behind it are human, for better or for worse. We recognize that there are people behind it that are fixated on money, and there are people behind it that are artists, and it doesn't have to be this extreme back and forth. And I think that's really helpful with a show like Ahsoka, which we will be talking about later, because it's a mixed bag so far. Okay, so we'll do a little Transformers. We're obviously going to be very Star Wars heavy the next month or so. But
Cameron's putting off more G1 episodes as long as he can.
So I just did a quick Transformers Google search and went to the news section. And recently, a new video game called Armored Core 6. If you never played Armored Core, they're a classic series of mech video games, like mech suits, or like giant mechs. And in the game, you can...
Take a shot every time Cameron says mechs this episode.
I'll mech you. You can kind of make Optimus Prime in the game. I'll show a picture to Rachel here. And like, there's lots of games where you can create your own character and you can give them colors. But what makes it official is you can actually have an Autobot logo on his chest.
Oh, that's cute.
So I think it's kind of fun that you can, in this mech game, you can build your own Optimus Prime. Or effectively, you can make any Autobot you wanted, theoretically. So I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Little tidbit from the video gaming world.
Little tidbit.
What else you got, Rachel?
Star Wars did post their official timeline. On Star Wars, they posted an official of their 9 eras, in order. Because I know we've all seen it in like the actual timeline version. This is actually a much better condensed version, if you ask me.
Okay, is this like new? Because I know that they released they announced the eras.
Yep.
Earlier this year.
Yeah, they just recently posted this.
Does this include like
the eras.
numbers?
What do you mean numbers?
Like BBY.
No.
Okay. So what is new about this?
Well, they've confirmed when the Old Republic which I guess that was really hard to read. But the 9 eras are Dawn of the Jedi, which is 25,000 years before Phantom Menace. That's when one of the new movies is coming out. The Old Republic, the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, and it's divided Star Wars projects and shows into the eras: Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, New Republic, Rise of the First Order, and New Jedi Orders. It is basically, what you would expect, the normal. The ones that I saw were interesting.
Really, this is just effective for like categorizing the media.
Yes.
When does this book, comic book, video game, movie, TV show, etc., what region, what era does it take place in?
Yes, but some of the things that I think is interesting that they include is in Reign of the Empire, they included Vader Immortal, which is a Star Wars VR game series.
That is interesting. I think the one in here that I question is Age of the Rebellion, which is just like a 9-year stint from 5 years before episode 4 to 4 years after episode 4. Mm-hmm. So effectively, that's like Rebels, Rogue One, probably Kenobi, the 3 original films. Then that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And like that's just a weird time to classify in my mind.
And they put Battlefront 2 and Squadrons in Age of Rebellion. And then they have... Are we looking at the same thing?
I'm looking at like an article that's breaking it down. I'm not looking at that graphic. I'm looking at
the graphic
article.
And then New Republic is, of course, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. And then Rise of the First Order, which was interesting.
That's 1 year.
Gosh, oh man, there was... Oh yes, so it's Star Wars Resistance, which is a show we haven't watched.
And I just said that we recognize all Star Wars. That's one I have no...
Hey, which one do you want to watch first? Star Wars Resistance or Young Jedi Adventures? Anyways, so Rise of the First Order includes Star Wars Resistance, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. And you want to know what else? They include Star Wars... Adventures of Galaxy's Edge.
I was about to guess Galaxy's Edge.
Which is the book? Disney park.
Isn't there like a book, though?
There is a book about it, yes. But yes, Galaxy's Edge is canon. Well, they can't include the starship anymore. Since that hotel didn't work out. But it's still technically canon, so.
Okay. Yeah, so that terminology can be useful. Another bit of Transformers news. This is not really news, but just like it's relatively recent, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Something I would have liked to have seen included in the movie. Could have been interesting. I figured out that there's a line of toys for the new film called Beast Alliance. Mm-hmm. But pretty much you have an Autobot and a Maximal. Maximal being the good guys who could turn into animals.
The Autobot animals.
Yes, exactly. And these two, you'd get one of each, and they would come together, and they could be transformed together. You could pretty much take the animal, and the animal would become an additional weapon for the Autobot.
I'm going to do that with my cat.
So here you have RC and a wolf, and the wolf like becomes like shoulders and a knife. And so you have various Transformers that could be put together.
It's going to be me and Athena. She's going to be my extended weapon. I don't know.
So that would have been, I think, a kind of cool element in the movie is if like you see the Maximals and the Autobots like transform into something new.
Combiners.
Together. Yeah, exactly. So just a small thing. Look it up. They're kind of cool images. They're called Beast Alliance. And I think it would have been... The toys exist. I think it would have been a cool additional element to the movie. Just to give it some energy. I think the movie... I think we both admit or agree that there was missing elements, just like not necessarily missing, just like it needed something.
But it's not the worst.
No, it's not. Film. But it's also not the best either. And it could have used a little more creativity at segments of the film, and that would have, I think, given it some fun energy. Just like go silly. We all know it's a toy commercial. Just go all out. Give us some fun stuff. Anyways, what else you got, Rachel?
So I thought I caught this last episode, but I wasn't sure. I believe it's episode 2, when Baylan Skoll is on Cetos. Anyways, when Baylan Skoll's on Cetos, he looks up to the sky, and I thought I saw this, but I couldn't really confirm it. As he's looking up, you just barely see a Purgle in the clouds.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought
nice.
I saw this last week, but I genuinely thought I was reaching. Like I was like, nope, that's just me wishful thinking.
Well, there you go. Nice little foreshadowing for this episode. I'm just going to give you an out of context headline and not elaborate any further. Transformers star Josh Duhamel may be the face of North Dakota, but he's also proud of Minnesota ties. What other news do you have, Rachel?
Wow.
So many questions.
Hey, The Mandalorian is coming to Blu-ray.
Huh.
After Disney was like, we're not going to do physical copies. They are Other things are like Loki and WandaVision, but Mandalorian's going to come to Blu-ray. So
Cool.
at least that one. Here were some Old Republic references that we saw so far in Ahsoka. So we talked about the Eye of Sion last week, which is what they're calling the hyperspace ring. There's an Old Republic Sith Lord named Darth Sion, spelled the same way, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The star map, the circular thing, the circular star map is the same design from Knights of the Old Republic. Very similar star map.
Yeah.
then-
I remember that element of that game.
And then, of course, the HK assassin droids. So that was kind of cool. I saw this picture. Some people have been posting pictures of Rey, Baylan Skoll's actor, like with the cast behind the scenes.
Ray
Stevenson?
It's Ray Stevenson. Yeah.
And he passed away in May. We talked about this, but it's just kind of like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are lots of people who work in an environment where they don't like their coworkers. But if you've ever had a job past minimum wage, where you work for a longer period of time with people, you tend to bond with a good amount of them. And so I think it seems to be relatively common that actors and people on a set, there's a camaraderie there. You're working together. You're doing make-believe. You're having fun.
I would
you're in
love
fun
my
costumes.
coworkers if I was on a Star Wars set.
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't love me. I'd be annoying.
And so knowing that one of them passed away, it does seem like a sad element.
Well, especially 2 months before the show even airs.
Yeah, he never even got to see the show.
No.
The first or second episode was dedicated to him. It's so that's nice that they have those photos of them together. He seems like a big, lovable guy.
He really does. Like he just has that's a nice smile. Like that is a
Yeah.
man I would feel safe approaching.
Let me know when you have all your news. I have one last thing before we get into our Ahsoka
this
review.
is well,
Rachel
I have
is laughing because Athena is playing with a straw.
the finer things for her. I have a TikTok of a cool reference, and then my mom watched Ahsoka, so we're gonna talk about some of the things she sent me.
Okay.
So this is interesting. This is not something I knew. This is about Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati.
Names are Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, which is significant because Skoll and Hati are the names of the wolves in Norse mythology who chase the sun and the moon across the sky in hopes of devouring them. Just like these two hunt a star map lined with loath wolves to chart their course across the stars. Their names are...
That's really it. I thought that was kind of interesting. Am I surprised that Dave Filoni, who really likes wolves, named his two villains after two wolves from Norse mythology? Absolutely not.
Shocked Pikachu face. That's all I can say.
Shocked Loth Wolf face.
I'll do a shout out. A friend of mine, Kendall, he's an amateur filmmaker. He does his own thing on YouTube, makes various little short films. And he texted me this week and he said, I'm going to do experimental short film about a guy listening to a podcast. Can I use an episode of Rebels and Robots?
Always got a lot to choose from.
We're going to be in my friend Kendall's short film at some point in the future.
This is our big break.
Yeah.
We'll have to see which episode he chooses.
Yeah, that is it. That will be interesting. He'll probably just do the most recent one, I would guess. But
we got to make it good.
but I don't know when he's recording it.
Do the nevertheless montage that Megan made.
Yeah. I have something related to that too. So this will, and also tease here at some point. I don't know if you have anything that falls under this. I don't know if it would be worth, but I have a story I'm wanting to tell at some point about any sort of fan creations we've ever made. And Kendall and I have a short film that we made that relates strongly to Star Wars. I'm not going to say anything else about it. So this is a time to bring up a tease for a story I might tell at some point. Do you have any like fan stuff you would talk about? Drawings? That's a very suspicious, very rigorous.
Let the past die. Killed if you have to.
Okay. What else you got?
So some texts from my mom. My mom's comment on Age of Extinction, because we were asking about the sleeve rolling thing that Cade was doing the whole time, and my mom.
Not Cade. Kelsey Grammer's character.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You're right. I can't read. And so she's a librarian. And so she said, I wonder if Bay included that thinking it would be, quote, for the ladies.
That's possible.
She said in some romance novels, there are scenes where women comment on a man's forearms, but they have to be nicely muscled, ... Reference Kelsey Grammer. My mom also has watched the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. She goes, can I just watch Ahsoka from where I am in the shows? I said, yes, just ask me if you have questions. Okay. Remind me, who is Ezra? Name rings a bell. Someone from Rogue One, ? And I just gave a quick brief of who Ezra is. Also, as watching Ahsoka, there's a cat thing. The Loth cat. She said this about the end of the end of episode 1. Got herself killed, stubborn girl. She finished second episode, asked who are the witches, so I briefly explained the Dathomir witches. So that was funny.
What else?
She sent me something else and I can't remember. I swear I found it unless I misread it. Oh yeah, my mom also watched the first 2 episodes of Star Wars Rebels this weekend.
The first 2 episodes?
Yeah, Star Wars Rebels.
When you said that she said that she asked, can I watch it from where I'm at in the shows? I thought that she had watched at least one season of Rebels. Wow. This show, to me, even if it like literally...
My mom has watched all of Mando, I think an episode of Kenobi, watched the first episode and a half of Book of Boba Fett, and then skipped to the last episodes with Mando.
Wow.
My mom loves Grogu a lot.
That's fun.
But so
I just would be interested to hear, probably towards the end of the show, after everything's wrapped up, if your mom was able to connect with these characters, because
Mom, are you listening to this?
Your 3 lead characters so far, as far as heroes, Hera, obviously Ahsoka, and Sabine, are firmly established pre-existing characters. It's not like they were in a comic or a book. Like, Ahsoka's been in 4 different shows, if you include Boba Fett. Hera and Sabine are both main characters of a 4-season Rebels. The show just dramatically assumes you already like these characters and know about them. So I'd be interested to hear how effective this show is if you have no idea who they are.
Yeah. She said, I know who Ezra is now. Separate text. And is that Jedi the one you love so much? Yes. I love Ezra.
What else?
That's it.
That is it. Okay, so I have a bit of fan content. So a few weeks back, Megan sent us a edit she had made of us saying nonetheless.
It was 90% Cameron.
Yeah, it was mostly me, but you were in there too.
Did we have one Caleb say it?
I don't think. No.
Oh, that would.
I don't think so.
Really funny.
And that was from the first 29 episodes. Well, she found something from last week's episode, and I'm just gonna play it for you. The title of this audio/video is called "Wonderwall Hears Anyways."
Welcome to Rebels and Robots, episode 32.
I don't know how to word it.
Anyways. You went back to see toes. Why are we looking at toes?
I did say that. Anyways, get out of my apartment. Anyways.
I don't know a lot of the anyways.
Cameron, can you grow out a mullet? Anyways, moving on from that.
Moving on.
Anyways, I would make fun of someone for the rest of their life for that because I'd be like, wow.
So
Oh my
that's
gosh,
a
that's
very
good.
funny bit of fan art.
I feel very
there.
represented right now.
Fan content. Yeah, so you really got overrepresented in that one. You got.
I did.
So thanks for that, Megan. That gave me a good laugh.
Cameron, can you grow out a mullet? Megan, can the next episode be the amount every time I've told Cameron to leave?
That's going to
we
be
should
quite a
do
few times, I think.
compilation of every time we say big stretch.
So Oh, I did not. So something I was going to talk about before we got into this week's talking about this week's episode of Ahsoka. Something listening back to last week's episode, I realized if you've never seen anything with Hera or Ahsoka, if you don't know those characters, we talked heavily about them being in lots of makeup because they are alien species, but we didn't really talk about what they look like, which is not a huge deal. But if we're talking about this, we're going to talk about the show for another month and a half. I thought it would be good for viewers to have at least a broad description of what these two characters look like.
Google.
Well, yeah, you can Google it if you want, but if you're too lazy to Google, which like most people listening to a podcast are, we spent like,
Dang!
Hey, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm talking about myself.
Wow,
we're
gonna lose our three listeners.
We spent like 5 minutes talking about what other movies and shows these actors have been in, which you can also easily Google. So I thought I actually learned something here because I did not know this. So Ahsoka's species is called Togruta. Mm-hmm. Never heard that term before. I'm really surprised. I just assumed I got her species mixed up with Twi'lek, which is what Hera is. There's definitely similarities there, but obviously not
She's
the same.
what Shakti is.
Yes. And so Ahsoka Tano is a Togruta. She is from the planet Chile, but she was raised on Coruscant. I did not know that either. And
You didn't know that?
I did not. I'm not a huge Clone Wars head, so I like any information that's like heavily emphasized or even briefly described in Clone Wars is not really in my head. Even like as I'm rewatching Rebels for the third time, there's still little bits of information that I just straight up don't remember. So Ahsoka's skin color is orange, but she has white markings on her face. Do you know if those are tattoos or is that her actual skin?
That's her skin.
Yeah, so it's very much a design. It's somewhat similar to Darth Maul, about how Darth Maul has a red skin but black markings. And she has this thing on her head. How would you describe?
I think they're called Lekus, like similar to Twi'leks.
In like layman's terms, it's almost like a big horn.
Yeah,
kind of.
Think
it's
of it
fleshier than that, I think.
So it's attached to her head, and it is flesh.
Yeah, it's
an
part of
extension of her head. Typically, the top is 2 or 3 horns with 2 parts that dangle down behind each ears.
Yeah, and they're blue and white striped. She has a really amazing color palette.
Oh yeah,
She's got the orange skin, the white lines on her face, and then the blue, like the pale blue and white head piece. It's part of her body, but it's like a kind of like tendrils. Because it's hard to differentiate it from Hera. So Hera is a Twi'lek. Twi'leks come in lots of different colors. If you had to describe them, if you've ever seen Star Wars, they're the sexy aliens. They're always the most famous one is probably the dancer in Jabba's palace who Jabba pulls towards him and she falls into the Rancor pit and gets eaten at the beginning of episode 6. So they're a lot simpler looking than Ahsoka. Hera is specifically green. And they have like tendrils that are really big on their head, but they go backwards as opposed to
Togrutos go like over.
Yeah, Ahsoka's piece like is on top of her. She has neither character has any hair.
So think of it like Hera has.
Doesn't work when you use your. We're in a very audible
my hands.
Format.
Almost in like 2 ponytails going back.
Yes,
fleshy, which is
they're the same color as the rest of her. Whereas Ahsoka's, it looks like a headpiece and it drapes over her shoulders and goes down to about her mid-waist. Not her waist, her midriff. And they're pointier at the end.
They grow. This has been a point of contention between some parts of the fandom because some people literally don't care. And some people care a lot. With Ahsoka's species, they grow longer the older they get. Mm-hmm. So technically speaking, hers should be pretty long right now, but they have to keep them short for stunt purposes, which was that a lot of people were upset. And I think it was Mando when she first had, and they were like, "This is not right."
And they do vary in shape and size by iteration. Mm-hmm. She looks different she grows throughout the course of Clone Wars, so it changes over that. But then she also looks different in Rebels, and then she's even looked different in each season of her live action iteration. As far as I can remember, they've changed the headdress a little bit.
Yep.
So you can pretty well see the actors' faces, but they have this thing on their head that I think like I'd imagine it probably comes down pretty far over their forehead. So that restricts the acting of their forehead.
Yep.
It restricts the movement of their head. It restricts the movement of their shoulders. That's what I was getting into last week. I realized as I was looking back, if you didn't know what they looked like, it might be kind of confusing what exactly I meant when I said that these prosthetics would restrict their acting. They don't have like full face prosthetics. You can clearly see the actor's face, but there's just
There's a lot of weight
going
for them
on.
to carry.
Exactly. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to give that out of the way so that when we're talking about the rest of the season, it's a little more clear what these actors look like. So, episode 3 entitled Time to Fly. They fly now. Obligatory.
Let's try spinning. That's a good trick.
So, it starts off with the robot Hu Young and Sabine training on the ship, which I think is I like depictions of different Jedi training, the technology they use, the forms they use. I always found that interesting. One of my favorite little moments from the video game Republic Commando is the game begins with a montage in the first person of what clones go through, and you get to briefly interact with like a hologram training, which I thought was really cool. So what Hu Young is doing here is I'm just now realizing in a very General Grievous-esque way, has multiple arms, and each has like a holographic lightsaber that's like tracking the angle at which Sabine interacts with it with her real lightsaber.
It's actually a stick.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Yes, that makes more sense. And I'm just going to go through a description, and if you have any thoughts, please just jump in. And then Sabine steps in to give her a little more intense training where she gives her a helmet. Oh, yes, thank you. Ahsoka steps in to give Sabine a little more intense training to push her, gives her a helmet. She pretty much verbatim quotes Luke, "How can I see with the flap down?" And Ahsoka just pretty much keeps giving very casual attacks to Sabine while she can't see. Sabine does pretty well considering
No, continue that sentence.
Considering that she's probably not in the traditional sense force sensitive. This episode gets. Were you gonna say? Do you think I was gonna say it's pretty good for a woman? Is that what you thought I was gonna say?
No, I thought you were gonna say pretty good for not having been trained.
Oh no. I mean, she's been trained in lots of different ways. She's a warrior. I like. We'll get it. Okay, so we'll talk about this here in a second. A little more about where Sabine might be going as a Mandalorian, as a Jedi, as whatever.
She's not going to Mandalore.
Yeah. So we then cut to a sequence where Hera tries to convince Chancellor Mothma. Did we know that she was the Chancellor? Is this canon before?
Yes.
Okay,
I believe this was canonized in the in-between books, especially about Leia.
This is a very logical character to turn into the Chancellor. If you're not familiar, Mommy Mothma. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with this character, she was briefly in Return of the Jedi. She's like the leader who gives.
She's in all white, red hair.
Prior to anything new, her most famous thing was she was the one who said many Bothans died
to get us this information.
Yeah. She was the one who kind of lays out the plan that the rebels have at the beginning of episode 6. And she's then got expanded the next step. That time we saw her in main media. We actually didn't get to see her. She was in a deleted scene in episode 3 where we see
her, Bail, and Padme setting up the
very start of the Rebel Alliance.
Start of the Rebel Alliance, which is a shame. There were a lot of Padme scenes that were cut.
And that same actress then appeared in Rogue One. So that's our first Disney era of like main appearance of Mon Mothma is in Rogue One. And then she had a major role in Andor.
She's in Rebels too.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, she's definitely in Rebels. And she has a major role
in Andor.
She's phenomenal.
One of the best Star Wars shows.
Yeah. We see her on Coruscant as a senator doing what she can.
Tax fraud.
Yes. She's pretty much doing what she can to raise support and funds for the rebels while trying to not draw too much attention to herself or get the Imperial, the ISB, the Imperial Spy Bureau? ISB.
IBS, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, Imperial, something. Gosh, I can't remember.
So a really engaging character, a really good performance, I think. I think the actress really walks the line. Like this character is almost what George Lucas was going for with his prequel movies. Like people who live in this society that's been around for thousands of years. Like the original trilogy characters are all they're rebels, they're scoundrels, they're like you have Leia, but Leia herself is even very feisty. Mm-hmm. In the prequels, George Lucas was trying to write these characters. This is really off topic, but Mon Mothma showed up. She's probably going to show up again. So if we talk about her again, I want to provide this context. The prequels are very high status characters outside of Anakin. You know, the Jedi, Padme, Palpatine. These are all very high people that are part of generations. Thousands of generations of people who have a lot of power, a lot of authority, a lot of comfort in their lives. And George Lucas was really leaning into the space opera element of his series. And so he wanted these kind of almost stuffy performances, almost Shakespearean. But the problem was he didn't have the ability to write that, and he did not have the ability to direct actors to do that. That's why I think people do like Ian McGregor, because he's probably the one, and also I think Ian McDermott, who played Palpatine. Those two are the two actors who get the closest to accomplishing those performances. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry that I don't have her name off the top of my head. But the actress who plays Mon Mothma, she actually does accomplish that, especially in her extended role in Andor. So I'm saying all this to explain why the actress name is Genevieve O'Reilly.
Yeah, Genevieve. Now, see, once you mentioned that you couldn't remember, I couldn't remember it either.
This is why it's exciting for her to show up in this. Even this small scene, this is a character that we've actually now seen quite a bit, and this actress in this role, and it's she's now. We don't actually know a lot about her at this time as far as the movie.
No.
I'm sure the books probably tell you a lot, but like
there's a lot that happens between Andor and this moment.
Exactly. So like where she's technically the leader of
the New Republic.
Yeah, she definitely is, but we don't know her connection to all the bad stuff we saw in The Mandalorian happening around the Republic.
Yeah.
And Hera feels like she's on the direct opposite side of that. She's a general, but Hera's like, I'm not going to let the Empire come back. I am not for demilitarizing just to seem peaceful. Like Hera seems like she might be very opposed to what the Republic's actually becoming.
One thing I meant to mention earlier, before we got to Mon Mothma, again, so when we see Ahsoka training Sabine, there's just a complete lack of, as I said, this is Kanan erasure, because they haven't alluded to it yet, because as we've talked before, Sabine was trained to, spoilers, Mom, sorry, for Rebels season 3.
It's one episode, and it's not that surprising.
But Sabine is trained to fight with the Darksaber, and Kanan, the main Jedi character in Rebels who trains Ezra, trains her to do that. And that line that Ahsoka says, "The Force lives in everything," is directly what Kanan says about training Sabine.
So that comes a little bit later, though, right? That comes after this scene with Hera talking to Mothma about Ahsoka talking about the Force.
Isn't it right before? Or I guess it's maybe right after.
I'm pretty sure it's the next scene. There's
oopsies.
It's okay. So you have one scene of Sabine and Ahsoka training. Then you have this scene, and then you go back to Ahsoka and Sabine talking about the Force. So I just wanted to quickly wrap up.
You're right.
Hera is talking to Mothma and other senators on a hologram Zoom call. And pretty much Hera's trying to convince them to give her the resources to go support Ahsoka and Sabine in taking down this new potential threat. And these other senators just think Hera is... What?
Snobs.
Yes. They pretty much they accuse her of just wanting to find Ezra. And that there's no credible evidence that Thrawn survived. And then Hera just snaps back and accuses them of being senators who did not fight in the war and just stood back and waited to see who won the war.
And she's right. Like,
she doesn't seem, at least with this one guy that she's directly arguing with, he says he didn't fight in the war. So, yeah, this is something that was also explored in The Mandalorian of these characters. The New Republic is built up of a lot of people who were also Imperials and just seem to align with whoever's in power. They don't have any ideological connection to right or wrong.
Canto Bite?
Absolutely. And this scene ends with the appearance of a character who's been long derided after his very brief appearance in the final episode of Rebels. It is the surprise love child of Hera and her Jedi boyfriend Kanan, who, spoilers, passed away in the last season of Rebels. I think that was the biggest reason why I was surprised that they had a son named Jacen.
0 days since our last Jacen incident, and he looks, wow, he got to glow up.
So why this character is so highly derided is because, as we previously described, Hera's a Twi'lek. She's green, and Kanan was a human. And so their baby, Jacen, he is a human mostly, but he's got green hair and green eyes.
It is very hard to animate children. And he really kind of fell into almost Uncanny Valley.
So
he was like Uncanny Hillside.
Does Google search Jacen Syndulla or Jacen Star Wars Rebels, and you'll get why this character. Not a lot of people were excited to see this character in live action.
Also, because we get it in an epilogue. In the epilogue finale, kind of say it's in the Where Are They Now? It's like, what? Huh? That's possible?
So he looks better. He still has green hair. Some people had speculated that maybe he only had green hair because
Sabine, who dyes her hair, dyed it.
But he still has green hair here.
It's a much more palatable green, though.
Yes.
It's not lime.
It's fine.
Forest.
He definitely works, but I can't tell if he has green eyes or not. Actually, he may not have had green eyes in the original cartoon either. He had blue eyes, actually. Well, here's the thing. On Wikipedia, it says that Hera has green eyes, but she also appears to have blue eyes.
Yeah, she's blue eyes.
So, I don't know.
Wikipedia is wrong.
I don't know what's going on there, but so it's a brief scene as far as the actor's performance as Jacen. It's a very brief child performance. He's fine.
We got to see Chopper.
We got to see a practical Chopper, which is very exciting because he was all CGI. As far as I could tell, he was all CGI last episode. So it's a very small fan servicey scene, but it's fun. We then go back to Ahsoka and Sabine.
Chopper is like the older cat when you bring a kitten home. Can only be one.
Mm-hmm. Ahsoka and Sabine have a very fascinating conversation about the Force. How would you describe this conversation, Rachel?
Riveting.
Is that sarcastic or serious?
So they kind of have a conversation on Sabine's kind of like, well, I don't have the Force. And Ahsoka is talking about, well, you need to open yourself up to it. And this is where Ahsoka says the Force lives in all things. You just kind of have to be open to learning about it.
Mm-hmm. You have to have most people don't have the discipline.
Yes.
And
I thought this was really funny considering Ahsoka, when we see Tales of the Jedi,
animated miniseries,
Ahsoka, from the ripe old age of 18 months, was eaten by, was like snatched by a big old tiger thing the size of like a water buffalo and calmed it down with the Force. And I'm just saying, I think it was kind of funny that she was like, you just need the discipline to do it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, this is...
Okay, Miss High Midichlorian Count.
I think we'll have to see where the show ends up to fully judge this conversation. I'm not really into canon. I don't really care that much about the exact rules of things. I just care about storytelling. And so I don't always assume characters are fully right, because I think the Force is far too complicated for any character to completely summarize accurately. They're speaking from their perspective. Ahsoka is specifically speaking from the perspective of a former Jedi, an ex-Jedi, very decidedly ex-Jedi. And I think her perspective is coming very much as a response to the Jedi perspective. The Jedi perspective was very much, you need to be quote-unquote Force sensitive. You need to have a certain midichlorian count. And if you don't know this whole thing, the prequels introduced the concept of midichlorians, which are microscopic organisms in your blood.
Sequel trilogy.
And effectively, there's a biological explanation for why someone can activate the Force better than other people. I can see where Ahsoka as a character would want to go away from this. And also, we don't know what she's saying simply to encourage...
Neither
Sabine.
of them are good at encouraging Sabine.
Because I think what we're seeing here is she is directly, like, the robot, Hu Yang, directly represents the Jedi perspective. He was created at the beginning of the Jedi. He's been around for 25,000 years. He trained Jedi. He's constantly saying she should not be a Jedi. She doesn't have the requirement. She wouldn't have been taken on as a Padawan by the Jedi. He sees it from a very classic Jedi perspective. So you see, we're as opposed to whatever's literally true. I'm not as concerned with like how does this represent what the character believes. This is very much in line with what Ahsoka might believe. I think I will be interested by the end of the show whether Sabine actually displays classic Force powers or not. I think the most interesting way going forward would be for her to tap into the Force in her own way and not do classic Jedi powers.
Yeah.
Because I think that is in line with Star Wars. Because what we see, one of my favorite elements of Rebels is that you see that animals can access the Force. The Purrgil can travel through hyperspace. The Loth Wolves can like travel through the Earth, the planet's core, and they can also like telepathically communicate. They know who Kanan is, and they know that kind of they are able to sense his future.
And Loth cats are the physical manifestation of the dark side.
So you see you use various other creatures and characters in Rebels really help demonstrate the nature's connection to the Force. You also have Dagobah as another the planet that Yoda's on is another great example of the Force manipulating a planet. The Force is part of nature, and thus is part of all creatures, meaning all sentient creatures, all humans, all whatever. So and then I think what further supports this concept is Hu Yang says Sabine cannot be a Jedi, and Ahsoka says, I'm not trying to make her into a Jedi, I'm trying to make her into herself. So I think personally I'd be a little disappointed if Sabine ends up having telekinesis or force push or something. But if she ends up able to like fight better, to sense someone's emotions, to solve a problem using the Force in a way she would not have been able to if she wasn't open to it, I think that would be a great element for this character.
Yeah,
personally,
I agree.
Because I do think it would be a shame to get rid of the concept, just to completely throw out the concept of Force sensitive characters, because there does need to be a difference between Luke Skywalker and Han Solo on a very base level. There should be no reason that you can say, well, Han could have been a Jedi if he wanted to, but you see, like in Star Wars, this is how you explain. And I'm sorry, I'm going on a really long time, but I think there's a line between good storytelling, but also you have to maintain what makes Star Wars Star Wars. What makes part of Star Wars Star Wars is that characters do things that no one should be able to do ever, no matter if they're Jedi or not. And I think the Force being part of that is fun. I think there being a constant reason for why there's like things happen for a certain way, there being an underlying mystical element to Star Wars is important. And also, if all the things Ahsoka said are true, it doesn't really explain why Rey is able to use the Force in the way she does, because she was not trained. I think there is another element of being Force sensitive, of believing in the Force and being Jedi Force sensitive. Anyways, the next step in the episode, during this conversation, we see Sabine try to move a cup, and she can't. Something we've all been through, I think. If you've ever watched Star Wars or ever been into fantasy with superheroes or magic or anything, you've probably tried to move an object with your mind and it didn't work. We then get a pretty good space battle. What do you think of the space battle, Rachel?
I thought it was fun. I thought they were gonna kill Merrick for a second. I really hope he is an unnamed Inquisitor. He's just random. I do not want him to be a random character reveal. I don't want that.
So, refresher, Merrick is the third
masked Inquisitor who fought Ahsoka.
Yeah, he's the third in the team with our other two ex-Jedi villains in this series. And he does not, we don't see his face at all. He has a mask. He very much resembles the Inquisitors of Star Wars Rebels and other recent Star Wars media. And I don't know if he talked last episode, but he talked quite a bit more this episode, and he has a modulated voice.
A heavy modulated voice.
Which
makes me nervous.
It
scares me.
There's no direct confirmation yet. As I'm watching this episode, I'm remembering people just were so certain that Kylo Ren was going to be someone, whether it's going to be Luke or someone else. and he wasn't. He was like a character you could have guessed. He's the son of, but he wasn't a pre-existing character, the son of Han and Leia. But I think if he really was someone, he probably would have had a direct one-on-one fight in those first 2 episodes. Like, instead, they chose to focus on Shin, and having her fight Ahsoka Sabine in the last episode. I think you would have seen a one-on-one fight between him and Ahsoka or Hera or Sabine. Instead, you don't, which leads me to really hope that he's not a pre-existing character.
I just hope he's there to sell toys. I'll buy that Black Series figure. I'll do it. But
so it's a very classic Star Wars battle. It's drawing a lot of shots straight from the battles of the original trilogy. It doesn't really further the story at all, but it is a fun exercise in visual effects and spectacle. They get kind of shot down in space. Their ship shuts down.
Well, so they're chased towards the Ion Sion, which is the big hyperspace ring that we saw in the last episode that Morgan is using to bring Thrawn back. Or in my opinion, that's what she's using to propose to him. I don't know. I think she's got the hots for Thrawn and it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, it's a very large hyperspace ring. And you know what you can do with a really large hyperspace ring? You can bring a really big ship.
Yeah.
And the last ship we saw Thrawn and Ezra on was a Star Destroyer. It was because he was a Grand Admiral. He had a big ship. It's like showing up in a raised Hummer in a electric car show. I don't know. Anyways, and so that's what they're trying to decide. Like that, they're trying to figure out where that hyperspace drive from the last episode went because they tracked it. They find it, and so as they are doing it, they're trying to get a scan of it so they can get more information about it. And I don't know if you noticed this, but so they are really pushing their luck. They're pushing their luck. Sabine and Ahsoka getting as close as they can to the ring, and Huyang is trying to...
They pronounce it both ways.
Huyang, he's trying to scan it. And I don't know if you noticed this because the whole time they're like, Huyang, we need to get out of here. And he's like, almost there. And there's this back and forth, actually for a really long extended time. And I guess when they're like, Huyang, we're going to be too close. It's going to be too dangerous. And he's like, almost there. And they get too close and they get shot and shorted out. I don't know if you noticed this. It's almost exactly what happened in the previous episode when Sabine was trying to track the assassin droid. Because the whole time, so she had to balance it and try to track it. And the whole time, Huyang is saying, it's going to be too much. You're going to short it. You're going to do this. And so the whole time, Sabine's like, nope, it's going to be fine. And that's that back and forth. And then this time we see it reversed and it actually showcases
that is interesting.
In the ship getting shot, damaged, not destroyed though, just damaged enough. And basically they hit the hard reset on Huyang, but he's fine. So they're out of reach of the Ring's guns, but not safe yet. Shin and the other Inquisitor, the only 2 ships that are left, are approaching, and while they try to get the ship set back up, Ahsoka's like, I've got this, and goes out on the ship outside in a spacesuit.
I was quite surprised that her spacesuit covers all of her.
I know.
So we're talking about her head thing. The suit also covers that. I was expecting just like have her just like a face mask thing. It looks a little silly.
It did look a little goofy.
But the rest of the suit looks great. It's a good color on her.
Gravity who?
So she takes down one of the ships with her lightsabers while Sabine fixes the ship. Oh, one other thing I was going to note before, in case we didn't talk about a ton last week, but David Tennant is the voice of Huyang, very famous Doctor Who, 10th Doctor, I think.
Yep.
He's also...
Good thing you got that right. My mom would have reamed us in a review.
He's also the villain in the first season of Netflix's Jessica Jones. He's phenomenal in that. You've probably seen him in something. He's great.
Voice actor for Huyang in Clone Wars.
Yeah, he's great in the show Good Omens. Phenomenal actor. Everyone on the internet loves him. He's fantastic in this as well. Pretty much no matter what line they give him, he nails it. He's very funny. He's very sassy. We talked last week. We're suckers for droids, and it's not too David Tennant-y. Like it's not like so overwhelming, but he's still giving a great performance. Ahsoka's fighting ships on the outside of the ship. They fix the ship. They go into the atmosphere of what? Do you remember the name of this planet?
Cetos.
Oh, right. We made fun of this last week. Yeah. The Purgle show up.
Yeah. So they fix the ship and they drop down into the ship's atmosphere, and there's an entire pod, an entire pod of Purgles. And so if you don't know what those are, this is the first time we have seen one up close in live action. Purgles first make their appearance in, I believe it's actually season 2 of Rebels. They are force-sensitive creatures that can hyperspace jump. They've been around forever. They are nightmares for like the universe's hyperspace shipping lanes because they'll just be there. And so, hit something at a hyperspace. It's basically like driving your sedan and hitting an elephant at 100 miles an hour or at the speed of light, I guess. It's really not good. But so Purgles are super important because Ezra has a special bond with them. He bonds with he helps a pod in season 2.
He really just generally had a special connection to most creatures.
He truly is a Disney
That was like
princess.
his special force power was being able to communicate, not like directly communicate with animals. He wasn't Dr.
Connect with
Doolittle,
them, though.
but he could connect with them and feel their emotions, and he empathized with them very strongly.
And so he helps them in season 2. They return in season 4 because of Ezra's Disney princess connection with them. And they are what takes, they damage Thrawn's capital ship. And they are what hyperspaces Thrawn and Ezra and the ship into the unknown regions. There's no way to track it because it wasn't the ship. It was the Purgles. So that's where we see them in animation. The next time we see them is when we have
Mandalorian season 3.
Mandalorian season 3, the end of the first episode, when they are in hyperspace and Mando's traveling in hyperspace with his new Naboo speeder. We see the outline of a Purgle, which got me hyped. Because I was like, woo! And so then we saw one last episode in the clouds, just barely. But this is the first time I think we get an a good scale of them since Rogue One, or since Rebels.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So Ahsoka, Sabine, their ship, they don't play, but they're suddenly a lot more obstacles in the road. So these things are massive. I would almost say a lot of these are bigger than what we saw in Rebels.
Interesting.
Maybe not quite so much. Some of them were really big. And so they are driving their ships through the pod of space whales in the clouds. And they manage to lose Shin and Merrick. And they dive down and hide out in the forest.
Yeah, a red forest, very aesthetically pleasing. And then Merrick and Shin go tell Baylan they're in the forest. Balin's like, go find them. And there's a very long dramatic shot of him staring just past the camera, and the episode ends.
How long has he been standing there?
Yeah, he's been standing there since last episode.
Yeah, he's been there a while. So with that makes 2004 days since our last Ezra sighting. I am not counting the hologram. I'm glad we got to see that, though. I expected them to play that in the last episode of this season, but so 2004 days since the last Ezra sighting.
Yeah, decent episode.
It was a fun episode.
Not a ton of it's a very action-heavy episode. It's very visually pretty. I think it shows some progress. It's not as boring as the first episode tended to be. Not as much standing around.
Yeah, they did more.
Hera's scene was very standing around, but at least there was a logical explanation for it being a hologram Zoom call. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. My biggest concern, I just continue to really think that Thrawn's going to show up at the last second just as a setup. But there's still 5 more episodes. So I just want this show to be a story. It can have dangling threads. I know Thrawn's going to survive at the end because they're making a movie. But I want there to be a story.
Cast Ezra just for just for the hologram.
It's very possible.
Question: where is Luke during this?
Telling his robots to move rocks. He's really focused on building
on a second building. If we're going, we need the second. We need the other schoolhouse.
We need a second hut for me to give children ultimatums to.
Do you want to keep your dad or get this really cool sword? It's up to you. So there is the Someone made this this connection, and it makes me kind of sad. So this is a close-up of Jacen Syndulla. It's a shoulder.
Okay.
And someone pointed out this comparison.
Aww,
so
that is nice.
For the people who aren't in the room with us right now.
Which is theoretically anyone listening, I
Jacen
hope.
Syndulla
And
on his...
doesn't include our editor, Sabina.
Yeah, she's
Sabina.
almost... Sabina.
I almost said that earlier and I didn't. I stopped it. Athena.
Sabina. Sabina, the teenage witch. Anyways, so Jacen Syndulla, as we see him in live action, has on his right shoulder a small green shoulder piece of armor. And so someone put that as side by side. One of Kanan Jarrus's, his father, in Rebels, one of his like key character designs is that he doesn't have a full set of armor. He just has armor on his right hand, which is
right arm. The whole arm.
Yeah, his right arm, whole arm, shoulder down the hand, because that's his sword fighting arm, lightsaber wielding arm. And so that was a cute little comparison. Nice little touch, Dave Filoni. Good job. So
Speaking of Jacen, someone on Reddit commented, I hope Hera knows that when Chopper is alone with Jacen, Chop is teaching him the ways of murder and destruction. Someone replied, that kid definitely knows how to make a bomb. Someone else replied, Chopper drags in some rando tied up and just hands Jacen a knife and locks the door until he gets the job done.
Oh my gosh. Chopper, best older brother.
So that takes us to the end of the episode.
We're almost halfway through season 1.
Don't tell me that.
I will.
We now go into everyone's favorite segment of the pod, Meme Minute, but it's longer than a minute. Is it meme at parsec? Is it meme astrosecond? Is it meme hyperspace lane blocked by a Purgle? Who knows?
Meme Purgle.
Shmeme Schminute, as some like to refer to it as. We have started a game.
I'm not gonna lie, we missed an opportunity by not saying Schminute.
Oh, Shmi as in Anakin's mother?
Yeah.
Wow, that's obscure. So
What? She's
in one. Okay, she's in 2 movies. Hey, for most people, if you ask them what is Anakin Skywalker's mother's name, they would not be able to tell you.
Sand.
Or if you ask someone who is Shmi in Star Wars, people are like, I don't know.
I would know.
Look, I know. That's one of my top 3
knows.
favorite scenes of Attack of the Clones. But I don't think our editor knows that.
I think she knows that.
She's not even looking at us.
She knows that. She's
Every week we create one meme each ourselves, and then after we share our group of memes, we reveal which one it is after the other one guesses. We are currently each 4 and 2 on the season, and so 4 and 3 would look real bad. So let's looking for a win today.
Looking for a win. I'm going to start. Obligatory, not a meme.
Yes, tradition lives on.
The Orlando International Airport posted this. I don't know when, because I took a screenshot and I don't remember when. They posted a picture captioned, quote, I am no red eye, end quote, or whatever Ahsoka said. May the flights be with you. And posted a Photoshop picture of the typical image of Ahsoka in a pilot seat.
Funny.
Oh, so good. And red eye as in RED dash
Yeah, that's like the late night flight, I think.
It's an early, yeah.
Or
It is some late night, early morning because you are.
And it sounds like
red
Jedi.
eye. Yeah, so
That's a good joke.
so good. Oh man,
a lot of people criticize corporate Twitter for being really like too fellow kids. That and the time, like, what was it, University of Virginia, or someone used a quote from
oh my gosh, the wrestling team.
Yeah,
the wrestling team made an edit and put in and not just the quote,
footage,
the video. I was losing it. That
man.
That's probably one of the funniest videos I've ever seen in my life, because when I don't remember where I was when I saw it, but I remember seeing it for the first time and someone going, you would never guess in a million years what Star Wars character cameos in this video. And boy, they were right.
Yeah. So this is another example of corporate
Actually
Twitter
being funny.
No, a university's wrestling team Twitter account is not exactly corporate, but
I
still.
want to know if they got in trouble with their marketing communication. Like, hey, you can't do that. The mouse is going to come for us.
Bet. Anyways, so that was very funny. Thank you for sharing. Also obligatory, not a meme. This was not really a meme, but just a thumbnail for a a thumbnail for a video or an article, and it's very much the same vibe. Do you remember that thumbnail with the Riddler from the Batman, Paul Dano's the Riddler?
Does he know?
Yeah, do you remember that? This has very similar energy. And it's just an image of a very smirky live action Sabine saying everything she does everything she touches dies.
Who made that?
It was just a thumbnail for an article, and I thought it had very similar energy to that notorious thumbnail of
I love
the Riddler.
that. I love that. Does he know?
And then a similar vibe. This is a meme that's like mimicking similar thumbnails, but it actually is a meme because it's not real. It just says Taylor Swift's security guard is those droidicas. And that's a picture of Taylor Swift and droidicas.
Did you make that one?
No. Okay, these two I will these are both screenshots, so I'm not going to include these in the competition.
I was going to say I did not make the Orlando International Airport one. I'll open up about that right now. I didn't make that one.
So these two are actual screenshots. I'm not going to include them, but I thought they were both funny individually, but together I think they're also really funny.
They're so good.
And this one, I'll finish it out. This one's also just another screenshot of a tweet. So someone tweeted out, Vogue recently had on their cover Dua Lipa, who is a top musical. I didn't know who she was. Actually, it's funny. I never heard of her before. But then I saw another tweet about the top 10 female vocalists on Spotify, and she was on there. The only song I'd ever heard of hers that I knew of, she did the song in Barbie that the first dance number with the Barbies at the beginning of the film. So she was on the cover of Vogue, and someone retweeted this cover and said 10th level, thousands of battle droids. Because she has a very high brown collar, and she looks like that dude from episode 3 who says that line to Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's
such a good joke.
So good.
Oh man, so look up.
So good, top tier.
Let me see if I can find that character's name so you can Google search what he looks like, and then type in Dua Lipa Vogue cover.
He's the same species as the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, 10th level, 1,000. If you just Google search 10th level, the first suggestion is 10th level, thousands of battle droids.
So good.
Let's see if I can find Tio Medon. Tion.
That's the name.
That's a character's name.
Yeah.
So if you Google search him, he has like this, like imagine the biggest popped collar you could ever imagine. It goes up past his ears and like covers his cheeks.
Bigger than General Leia's in Last Jedi.
Yes, exactly.
Gosh, what a good outfit. I love that though. The Vogue pictures for that were
and
so
Dua
good.
Lipa's
the slicked back hair.
It's just oh yeah, and her
sells
that's a good point. And she also has slick back hair. This character from Star Wars is bald.
Bald. He's bald. bald.
We reference SpongeBob on this show too much. What else you got on your memes?
Okay, actual memes. What's wrong, babe? You've hardly touched your charcuterie board. And it is a Star Wars themed charcuterie board.
That's pretty funny. Charcuterie board. That's really funny.
You got the blue milk.
Yeah, so we've got blue milk. We've got cheese ball. That's actually
cheese ball.
Cheese ball. That's BB-8. We've got fruit that is on some chopsticks that are actually lightsabers. I've been trying to ignore the cat for the last 5 minutes, but Rachel is now pointing at her. She's like half on her little bed thing. Anything else that's supposed to be Star Wars on here? Not that I can tell. Like there's other things that are made in there's little cheeses or little chocolates that are like X-wings. It's supposed to look like an Ewok. There's like a cheese ball with Ritz crackers in it and a little smiley face made out of olives that look like a little Ewok. Oh wow. Is this supposed to be Snoke's battles like Death Star?
No, it looks like it's Yoda.
Oh, that makes more sense.
It's a Yoda head.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah, that's fun. What's wrong, babe? You've hardly touched your charcuterie board. This is just an image of Ahsoka saying, "I like your cut, G," and then it's Sabine with her haircut, and Ahsoka's red hand is just slapping her in the head.
Wait, is that?
And then it's also
it's got like a target thing, like a crosshair.
So in the image, this is so ridiculous to try to explain this. We have Sabine. So Sabine cut her hair at the end of last episode. So
What a queen.
Ahsoka's saying, "I like your cut, G," and it's got Ahsoka's face and a hand just smacking her in the head, and it's painted a very similar color to Ahsoka's skin tone. But where her hand is hitting Sabine's head is a little hit marker that you would typically get whenever, like in like Call of Duty, whenever you shoot someone on your reticule, you get a hit marker. God, that's hard to explain. Anyways, what else you got?
The only cryptocurrency I trust.
It's the studs from the Lego Star Wars games. Very good. I don't think this meme is that funny, but it does kind of change the way you see a particular element of Star Wars. It says, and people still wonder why Grand Moff Tarkin and from Star Wars has such a strong jawline, and it has his little rank insignia on his chest circled, and then next to it has some gum. Like the gum that you like pop like out of the pockets.
That's good.
So all the Imperial officers, their rank insignia is pretty much just like a row of rectangles in different colors, and his are all blue, so it looks like gum.
So good.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to. I saw this meme and I watched Rebels, and a rebel and a.
See, now you just have
made
to
me
watch
think.
them switch between each film. So this one requires some interaction from you, Cameron. You need to.
Oh, okay.
You just need to
Wow.
zoom in.
I'm not used to this level of
Guys,
of
if you zoom in
interactivity.
really close on the end of the map in Ahsoka, then you can see where Ezra is. Zoom in.
Oh, just one of these. Oh, jeez. Ah! That's good. That's not. It's got a very tiny Buffalo Wild Wings logo, which
is a reference because the voice actor for Ezra Bridger, post Rebels, when he had to make money, did a rather famous ad for. Well, the ad itself is not famous for Buffalo Wild Wings. What makes it famous?
it's infamous amongst Star Wars fans.
It's infamous amongst Star Wars fans because his voice for Ezra is his voice. And so when you listen to it, it's like that is
It's
Ezra.
just Ezra.
And so it's what is it? Deals on deals on deals.
Yeah. Oh, that's really, really good joke. So here we've got interaction between Yoda and Luke from Episode 5.
Obi-Wan.
Yobi-Wan, yep. Ooh, don't. Now I got Google search that. See what that comes
name?
up. Okay, hold on. Oh no, ship it. Yobi-Wan. What comes up when I don't think it's gonna. It didn't come up with anything. Okay, good. So Yoda says, "Do or do not. There is no try." Luke says, "What's wrong with trying?" Luke just Yoda looks down, cuts to Obi-Wan on Mustafar. "Don't try it." And then you have burning Anakin, and Yoda just says, "Trust me." Because that was pretty much the last thing Obi-Wan said to Anakin before he tried to flip over him and he cut off.
Is that like when burning Anakin, like burning Godzilla?
I'm not 100% sure what that
Okay,
means.
well, the joke has passed. So anyways,
Okay. What other memes you got? Oh my gosh. So you have a helicopter labeled Maul, and then on the ground, the helicopter does not have any landing gear. The landing gear's on the ground, and it just says his legs. And then you have the guy who plays the Flash in the TV show giving the peace up sign from his own meme where he's in front of a gravestone, but the gravestone's not there. It's just the guy from the Flash holding a lightsaber in the same hand where he's giving the peace sign, and that's labeled Obi-Wan. That's a good combination of memes. I like that. This one just says the slave one be like, and then it's like the Rio de Janeiro Jesus statue with its arms out, but he's got two Glocks on his legs. The slave one.
oh yeah,
The slave one is Jango and Boba Fett's ship, and it's like stands
never
upright. It stands upright, but it has like cannons at the bottom.
Oh, man, it's shaped like that.
It kind of looks like a Jesus nightlight because of the backing on him.
He's glowing.
You're glowing, Jesus. You're just glowing.
You're glowing.
You look fabulous today, Jesus. You're glowing.
Slay queen. Oh.
Well, we're dipping way into blasphemy this episode.
Oh, actually, swoop
Swoop through them
through
lightsabers,
all of
queen.
my memes.
Okay. Why do I always have to describe the visual?
I can
ones?
describe. I just want you to see them.
Yeah, I saw this one. This is funny.
So
Yeah.
we have 3 images.
We pretty much get this meme gets updated every
so
show at this
good.
point.
So we have the image of Vader stabbing Reva in Obi-Wan, and we also have the image of Reva stabbing the Grand Inquisitor in Obi-Wan, and then we have a screen grab of Shin Hati stabbing Sabine in Ahsoka. And the next image is a very popular image of a man at a soccer game.
Yeah. Australian football
Yeah,
or
with
European
his hands on
or
his
the
hips
rest of the world's
with
football.
his hands on his hips, and he just looks pissed. He's just got like the frowniest face.
Metric football.
Yeah. The frowniest face, and someone photoshopped ghost Qui-Gon over
The
it.
joke being all 3 of those characters survived and Qui-Gon died.
Yeah.
So this is it says nobody blank space Rebel Inquisitors, and it's an image from the Band Geeks episode of SpongeBob where the flag twirlers spin so quickly that they fly.
So good. So good.
Infamously, the Inquisitors only in Rebels, never in any other form. Only
I thought
in
we were gonna
Rebels.
get one last.
Yes, they have.
I need another helicopter.
Their double-sided lightsaber spins, and in Rebels they can use it to fly like a helicopter.
Spinning. That's a good trick.
Okay, I've got one more meme.
They got 2 more.
Okay, give me both of yours, or don't.
Who's your favorite Star Wars Rebels character?
Classic. It's a pile of ash,
Classic.
implying it's Kanan because he got exploded.
All right. Do you have your last one?
Oh yeah, here's my last one. It just says, well, okay, so the caption is those 2 Ewoks in Return of the Jedi, and I don't know what this is from, but it's
I love that meme.
it's very poorly animated M&Ms with like faces and
If
they're
you haven't
laying,
seen the M&M mascots before,
but I don't know what this is from.
oh, okay, so
Like-
it's the M&M mascots, red and yellow.
But it's not. They're not. This is like Gary's mod level. This is like
It is very
low
polygonal.
polygon. This is
Very
not
low.
official animation. And the red one is laying on the ground with his eyes like in the wrong spot of his face, frowning, and the yellow one's like crouched down next to him, and the yellow one says, "You good?" and the red one says, "No." So if you already it's been 10 minutes since I tried to describe this image. The caption was those 2 Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. Infamously, in Return of the Jedi, one Ewok gets shot, another one like stops and like checks on him, and he's not alive.
We are getting Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view. They're going to have a chapter. I know it. Actually, it's out. They have a chapter. I predict it. Here's my last one. Dad arrested for fighting middle schoolers.
Booked into CCCD, dude. You want to explain who's in that photo?
So it's a video. It's I guess a screenshot from the video, and it's Zeb, and someone has also Zeb as this dad, and someone has photoshopped Ezra, Sabine, and Chopper in as the middle schoolers.
Oh man,
So good.
it feels like it'd be more accurate if it was Kanan because he's constantly like fighting them to train them, or could have been Thrawn too.
I almost actually texted these to my mom. That would have been really funny.
Okay, so now we are going to guess which meme the other one made.
Which Shmeem
Which
Schminit
meme? Which meme from Shmeem Schminit did Schmake?
homegrown, handcrafted, organic Shmeem.
And I also posted on Facebook today when I posted the memes from last week that our meme's getting pretty dank ferric. Which I thought was really funny because dank ferric is the Mandalorian's swear
crap.
word.
The Mandalorian swear word.
And while I'm waiting for Rachel to send me her memes, oh, you sent them to me. Okay.
No, I did not.
Oh, I sent mine to you. Send them to me.
I'm working on it.
Don't leave us a meme. I'm sorry. Don't leave us a review on Amazon. Rachel's mom tried and it hasn't
Be
showed
nice
up
to
yet.
her.
I'm not blaming her, but that's not a good place to leave a review. Do it on Apple Podcast. Do it on I don't know Spotify or wherever you are else you're
I
listening
didn't
to your
mean to
pod.
send this, but it happened.
Okay, so we've got. So you didn't make the screenshot. So we've got charcuterie board, starcuterie board. We've got cryptocurrency. We've got zoom in on this. You've got Maul and his legs as a helicopter. You've got Qui-Gon being disappointed that everyone else survived being stabbed. You've got favorite Star Wars Rebels characters. You've got Dad arrested for fighting for middle schoolers. So you've done a previous news one. And so I'm trying to figure out if you would so bold-faced do it again. It feels like you, but also gosh, this game is hard, man. This game is hard.
I'm afraid to guess because if I get wrong and you get right.
I'm gonna guess the Dad arrested for fighting middle schoolers one. Yeah. Is it? Yeah, it's funny. It's original. I like that. It's original, and I like the inclusion of especially Chopper in the background cheering. That's good. I like it. Okay, I improved to 5 and 2.
It's not the slave one because I've seen that one. Unless you photoshopped the guns. The guns are new for me.
I wouldn't claim a meme just by adding one detail.
Oh, man.
This week on the pod, you didn't even know, we've got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yay!
Oh, wait, we were already at 5 and 2. We were at 4 and 2 last week.
Oh, yeah.
We were already at 5 and 2 each. So now I'm at 6 and 2. So don't worry too much about losing, because 5 and 3 is not bad.
Athena, come help me.
She's passed out over there.
Just crashed.
Past her bedtime.
I thought you were gonna say like an expiration date joke.
Oh no!
Like, get out of my apartment.
You check that off for the week. You've got a 1 in 6 chance. It's pretty good. Ignore the first 3. The first 3 are just screenshots.
Did you send me the screenshots?
I thought I did. I thought I sent you all 9 that I had. Everything she does dies. Everything she touches dies. Taylor Swift security guard is those droidicas. And 10th level thousands of battle droids are all screenshots. So ignore those. And yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to plug a Star Wars track that I discovered this week from the Star Wars Clone Wars soundtrack. It's a track called Jedi Eulogy. It's a very beautiful piece. I really enjoyed it. Rachel's lip is quivering.
I'm so scared, Cameron.
Well, it's just look. You have to let go of fear. Fear and anger gives temporary.
No, I'd be a really good Sith.
Gives temporary strength, but it makes you lose your footing, as Ahsoka said in this episode. Classic Jedi. I did not make the Rebel Inquisitors one.
Damn it!
I am honored. I think that joke is hilarious. I made the M&M's one.
For real? I swear I've seen that one before.
The image existed, but I added the caption.
Exactly,
those two Ewoks in Return of the Jedi.
I thought I'd seen one with a similar
It's possible,
caption.
but I'd never seen it before.
No, that's okay.
The caption that was originally on there was "my last 2 brain cells," which kind of feels like trying to make a meme at the last second. Okay.
Well, I'm going all out for next week.
You're still close enough that next week, you never know, it could always change anyway. As our weekly reminder, Caleb is still 0 and 2. So
I'm devastated. This is the worst. Athena, edit that out. Edit that out.
Edit in Rachel saying the correct answer.
Edit that out.
As always, thank you so much to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. It continues to be a pivotal element of this podcast. It was a really great inclusion in Megan's fan content. Thank you to Megan for the fan content. Props to Rachel for our artwork and Twitter account at Rebels Robot Pod.
Props to Cameron for running our Facebook group. Our Facebook page, not our group. Sorry.
Thanks to Athena for editing this. Give us something to read on the pod. Leave a review, tweet or DM us memes or opinions. This is Cameron and Rachel signing off saying, Rebels and Robot stars Cameron and Rachel may be the face of Star Wars podcasting, but they're also proud of Transformers ties. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good night.
Good night. That's good. This is good.
I hit stop on the wrong thing.